There you go. So, welcome both to Wellingborough Community Resilience Forum. Like magic, isn't it? This is the agenda for today. So, welcome. We've had our 5 minutes of chitter chatter. We're going to do a bit about the cost of living crisis again, how it's affecting people, and then we're going to look at how we can help. And then hopefully between the three of us and as other people join us as we go along, we can work out ways of working together. Obviously, if we bash through and it is only the three of us, this will be a bit shorter. So firstly, cost of living. We've got a bit of a crisis going on, haven't we? We've got inflation at a 40-year high. So we haven't seen anything like this since the early 80s, late 70s, driving fall in pay, confidence. Household finances have plunged to a really sort of worryingly sort of level, to the level that was the pandemic. I'll get my words out in a second. And unfortunately, the people in the know think this is going to carry on. And of course, now we've got rising interest rates as well because of the rising inflation. So, what is the cost of living crisis? It refers to the fall in disposable incomes adjusted for inflation after taxes and benefits that the UK has experienced since late 2021. It's caused primarily by inflation outstripping wages and benefit increases. It's also been exacerbated by recent tax increases. But then, of course, we had the mini budget chaos. So I don't know. I'm not trying to make a political point because that's not the point of this. But the events of the last week have certainly been astonishing, and I think this is a quote nicked from, I think it was the Eye paper. It's impressive to shoot yourself in your foot so badly that you trigger your own mini financial crisis, and it's only going to increase the cost of living crisis even more. So what have we had? We've had a crashing pound, rocketing gilt yields, pension funds potentially collapsing, mortgage chaos, the amount of products that have been dragged off the market. I was watching Question Time last night, and a first-time buyer said she had a mortgage arrangement guaranteed for 4.5%. They pulled that on her, and then they couldn't offer another one for less than 10.4%. So it's just, well, that's enough to ruin a few lives. So we've got higher inflation, borrowing billions, and all for what? Some tax cuts, mainly for the rich and also for multinational companies to try and grow the economy. This is what inflation looks like. And as you can see, it's been bubbling up and down between 0 and 4% for a while, and then suddenly, as we come out the pandemic, it shot up, and obviously with the latest government action, it looks to go up a little bit more. So how are prices going to change? Well, the one thing the government did get right is they did put a cap on the energy bills. So rather than it being just over £3,500 from tomorrow, it's going to be capped at £2,500. But that still is 96% more than it was exactly a year ago. So it's doubled on average. And inflation is looking to remain high for the next 2 years. Of course, there are lots of reasons why prices particularly energy, are rising rapidly. It's not just the war between Ukraine and Russia, but of course that isn't helping. Before that, there was outages in liquid natural gas production. We've had depleted storage in supplies in Europe because, of course, we were depending on gas from Russia. So the powers that be, including the British government, decided not to store gas anymore. And of course, there's been increased demand from the rest of the world, particularly from Asia. And why is it so important? Well, most of our houses in this country are heated by gas. And of course, we're still yet to turn our heating on, but I'm being threatened by the wife that it's going on tonight because she's getting cold. Of course, it's not just energy, it's food too. So food prices are now 10.6 more expensive than they were a year ago. Overall shop prices are over 5% more. Um, you can see in the graphic there that there's been huge rises in staple foods. It's not just luxury foods that are going up. So, for instance, milk, flour, butter, pasta. You can see they've all gone up. Like for milk to go up more than a third, and this is like from 12 months from July to July. This is the most recent infographic I could find. You can see that this is causing a great deal of panic and obviously a lot of stress to people who haven't budgeted for these increases. Now, you might find that people are really struggling at the moment. It's not just the government, although I have tried to do a bit of a funny there. And of course, we've got the issue that people want their pay not to go down in real terms. So people like Mick here have basically got their unions going out and striking, trying to get a better wage deal because most people's wages would have been based on the inflation rate that would have been in April or potentially September last year. Um, so, of course, the railways, I think, were coming out first, but they've been joined by the post workers. There's even rumours that nurses, doctors, and teachers are thinking about striking. So the average is going to be about 5.8% settlement over the next 12 months, whilst inflation is at least 10%. Of course, it's not just the people that are earning money that are worried. In fact, far from it, because again, benefits are actually linked to inflation. And in April, it was only 3.1%. So, of course, benefits have only gone up by 3.1%. The issue is that okay, this has been set in stone for a few years now that benefits go up with inflation. The latest Treasury team, including Kwesi Kwarteng and Chris Phillip, are actually saying no, we don't have to link it to inflation. So it may well be that people on benefits will actually be in real terms worse off. And as you can see, they are looking at ways to do efficiency savings on all different services, but this also does include benefits. So again, there could be a lot of people a lot worse off. Of course, rising prices doesn't affect everybody the same. So obviously, if you've got a house and you're trying to heat it, if you've got a lot of money, that house, if it's the same size, is still going to cost you potentially the same amount to heat as it is somebody who hasn't got a lot of money. So the amount of money that they're spending is a greater proportion of their income. So this is an example, but this was in April, so you can only imagine what it is now. The inflation rate in poorer households was knocking on to 10%. Richer households, it was 2% less. Now, obviously, as the inflation rate goes up, that chasm will just get bigger and bigger. And unfortunately, it's poor people that are going to suffer, despite our government giving tax cuts to the rich. And we've all seen people talking about heating and eating. Um, it's a real thing, isn't it? You either sit there in the cold with a sandwich, or you sit there in the warm without a sandwich. It's that stark. So this chap from Leicester, from Age UK, sitting out in the street, making that point. but it's a serious thing that people have really got to sort of look at. There are some things happening that are going to help people. We'll tell you about one of those in a sec. And this is all about us. How can we help? As the picture sort of shows you, possibly the best way we can help is signposting people to the services, the benefits that can help people. So the best thing we can do for everybody is to care and share. So anybody comes in, a lot of people want to be listened to. A lot of people want to feel like that somebody gives a monkeys about them, but also to share the spaces that we've got, any resources that we've got with them, to try and make their life a little better. So obviously we all want to help people as much as possible, but how? Getting out into the community and talking to people in person. Actually, this has happened quite a bit this month already. Doing that to provide practical and useful advice, tips to save money, helping people access the support that is available. And something that's happened locally, not just on the western side, the Queensway estate, but just to give you an idea, Glamis Hall and Redeem Funds are both based on the Queensway estate, which makes up, I don't know, about a sixth of the size of the town. And they've handed out over 900 food vouchers, each worth £100 from Northants Council just in September. I believe the Victoria Centre have also been handing them out, and these vouchers have been available all over the north sort of side of the county. It's all very well telling people stuff, but obviously it's got to be correct. And actually, this slide possibly might not be correct now because it's all changed, isn't it? But a month ago, this is what you could say that people were getting: the maximum payment of 650 if those people, if you're eligible, i.e., you're receiving a cost of living payment, disability cost of living payment, a pensioner cost of living payment, you will get extra benefits up to the value of 650, depending on your individual circumstances. Might be that somebody on here knows exactly what the current benefits are, but of course, like I say, things are changing. The go-to has been and always has been Citizens Advice. They helped 2.4 million people last year, and have had over 60 million visits to their online advice pages. So almost one visit per person in the UK. It's a good place to point people because actually they're the statutory consumer watchdog for the energy industry, meaning they can actually advocate on behalf of consumers who are struggling to pay their bills.
Do you know, Jonathan, can people just sort of turn up there, or is it sort of a matter of making an appointment, that sort of thing?
I believe people have got to make an appointment because the service isn't
Right.
as well staffed as it used to be. So in the first instance, we'd have to direct them to the website. Obviously, there are people out there that still don't have access to the internet and stuff. So, for instance, the library would be a great place to help people with that, but also other community centres. Potentially our Eco Hub, if we had a computer that people could use to sort of do stuff like that.
So we, in the library, we as you know, we have the computers which are free to use for internet access. So customers regularly come in, and I would say that to promote that is really important. I think the difficulty is with Citizens Advice. People often want to speak to somebody, and they want to speak to them now. So I have helped a few customers use the online chat with Citizens Advice, which is available to give signposting first off, but that's a more national approach. I'm not sure that it's that local, although they have access to our local sort of resources. But phoning up citizens advice isn't something that you can do. You can leave a message, but I've spoken to a few customers who found it really frustrating because they want to speak to somebody now, and you can understand that when people are in crisis, can't you? But I would say using the online chat on the citizens advice website is responsive, and you can get some really good signposting from those professionals who are working within citizens advice. And the other thing that we have here in the library is our volunteers who can help support people to access either the online chat or filling in online referral forms for citizens advice, because that's the other way you can get to access that service. So sometimes people just don't know how to do that. So I would suggest that an appointment with one of our volunteers could be quite positive in terms of accessing citizens advice too.
Yeah, that's useful to know.
It is useful to know. I think that also the community centres do have sessions and are available to help in the same way. So obviously the go-to place would be the library, I think, but for users of community centres that aren't necessarily based in the town centre, it's important that those do. I know Joe's helped a lot of people, particularly with these vouchers we were talking about earlier. Hiya, Karen. Does everybody know who Karen is?
Hi.
Yeah, hello, Karen.
No, yeah. I couldn't find the link. I finally found it now.
Okay. Well, welcome. I'll let you introduce yourself when you can see each other properly in a second.
Okay.
A big thing that's happened over the last couple of decades, particularly the last few years, actually, since the pandemic, are food banks and also fresh food larders. So if you can't afford the food you need, food banks are community organisations that can help. Again, citizens advice are the people that would refer people to food banks. I don't know if the library or others can do that, but generally the library, you can do that, can you?
Yes, we have. Yes, we do.
Oh, okay. Crikey, you're literally turning into citizens advice by the sound of it, Sophie. Crikey.
Well, we have a couple of our colleagues have links with some of the food banks locally, and so yes, we have filled in referral forms.
Okay, fabulous. Good. So there you go. There's something I didn't know, that you can get referred from the library. Food banks in Wellingborough include redeemed funds, and there's a picture. That's actually an out-of-date picture now. They've now moved indoors. And the Daylight Centre, which is probably the one that's in the town centre that Sophie refers to most. We also have something called food sharers, don't we? Which is a bit like redeemed funds, but on a much smaller scale, on a Tuesday afternoon, 2 till 6, that shares gone past best before date food overs from different supermarkets and suppliers.
And where's that, Jonathan?
That's at the Eco Hub at Glamis Hall.
Sorry, it would be good. It would be good to get that sort of more well known, really, wouldn't it? Because I mean, we often do have plenty of food there, and the people that come and get it, you know, maybe they do need it. I don't know, but you know, we don't seem to be sort of getting lots of really needy people there.
Yeah, so that's some information we could put on our boards in our foyer. So if you have anything we can stick up, otherwise it's 2 till 6 on a Tuesday, did you say?
2 till 6 every Tuesday, and we're doing other things at the Eco Hub, including a happy cafe on a Thursday, which people can just come in, give a donation for a cup of tea and a biscuit or whatever, like 50p, and then they can sit there for a couple of hours in the warm. And of course, I know you do things like that at the library already, but it's good to have it outside of the town centre so people can sort of enjoy social. And it's called Happy Cafe because it's all to do with mental health as well as it is sort of community.
And also, I think because ours is once a month on a Monday, it's different days of the week, which provides an opportunity for members of our community to join different groups in different places as well, isn't it?
Well,
especially
exactly.
For those that are lonely as well.
Well, that was important for us because we looked at sort of when people were doing other stuff. and there's a lot going on a Saturday morning, for instance. I thought, well, what's the point of having another cafe open on a Saturday morning when, like, there's one at St Mark's already, for instance. So yeah, there are different pockets and different community groups doing it around. It's a shame we haven't got a few more to sort of talk about, but yeah, there's lots of
So
stuff.
we need to get a poster to. We need to get
do.
a poster to the library,
Yes,
really, don't we,
please.
about the food sharers?
Thank you.
Yep. I shall bring you a rake of posters at some point,
Thank you.
probably with a 4-year-old in tow.
That would be lovely to see him.
Yeah, I'm sure. Right, here we go. Only got 1 or 2 more slides to go, I think. So obviously I might be teaching you to suck eggs, but there's lots of people that we can work together with. So residents associations, community centres, voluntary sector network forums, parent and teacher associations, councils for voluntary service, libraries. We couldn't forget the library, could we? Social media groups. There's a lot of social media groups that have been set up, particularly over the pandemic, to help people. And housing groups and associations like Greatwell Homes. There you go. I wasn't fibbing. This is the last slide. Working together on this forum is obviously a good way to do it as well. And there may be other opportunities for more forums, possibly with sort of people from the general public, if you like, more involved. So together we can help make Wellingborough a better place to live and work in for everyone. Do use this forum, our email list, the WhatsApp group and Facebook group to share with each other. So for instance, the posters that we were talking about earlier, Sophie, I could put them on there to share around. I'll just come and bring you some, I think. So the last question is, what new activities and events do you have, and how can we help as a community resilience forum to sort of share and publicise them?
Well, I'll talk about the repair cafe then.
Go on then. She's not that we're coming forward there, Judy. I like it.
So we have had a repair cafe at the Eco Hub at Glamis in the past, but we're trying to sort of relaunch it under the guidelines of the Repair Cafe Foundation to try and sort of attract more people. I have already sent a poster to the library, so you know, you may have seen that already, Sophie, and I expect Karen knows about it. But you know, the more that can be spread around, the better, really. We're hoping that people might book their items in for repair, so we've got a bit more idea of you know, what we'll be getting, and you know, whether we need to ask people to get parts, that sort of thing. And we are just doing it in the Eco Hub at the moment, which is quite a small room, but you know, if we can get enough volunteers and it's successful enough, you know, proves popular, then hopefully we might be able to do something bigger in the not too distant future. And that's the 8th of October is the first one, and it's from 9 till 12.
Yeah, a week on Saturday. That's cool. Could I just allow Karen and now Thomas, hi Thomas, to introduce themselves, because they've crept on. Thomas had perfect timing by joining us just after the presentation, so well done there. You obviously knew. Would you like to go first, Karen?
I'm Karen. I coordinate a disability group in Wellingborough via Zoom once a week, and yeah, I don't know what else to say about myself, really.
That'll do. Should we let Thomas go next, and then perhaps the other three of us can introduce ourselves to them?
Hi, so I'm Thomas. I used to work with a company called Warts and All Theatre that recently unfortunately collapsed, and now we've come back together and we're calling ourselves the Many Flavours of Wellingborough to CIC, working with Victoria Centre to run free workshops to generate a bit more of an art scene. Our big thing is, you know, we call local people to come along, young artists, to change people's aspirations and hopefully give people a more positive image of themselves.
Just to add to that, we're having a poetry club at the Eco Hub, Judy, on the
Are
10th
we?
of November. We are, yeah.
Oh.
Excited. We had a meeting with Thomas the other day. So we're doing 2 before Christmas, 10th of November and 8th of December. I think they're Thursdays, aren't they, Thomas? I can't remember now. Yeah. And they're just
But when
trying
is
to
it? Is it
in the evening,
or morning?
in the evenings, just between 6 and 9 from recollection. They are on the calendar that we've got on our website, so I have been quite good there. I'm talking all over everybody as usual. Go on, Judy, you introduce yourself next to the other 2, please.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I'm Judy. I'm the membership secretary for the Wellingborough Eco Group, and I'm sort of trying at the moment to plug the repair cafe that we're having on the 8th of October to everyone, in the hopes that we can, generate a bit of a buzz about it. And that is from 9 to 12 on the 8th of October.
Fabulous. Would you like to go next, Sophie?
Yes, hello, I'm Sophie Pratt. I'm a customer advisor at Wellingborough Library. I'm standing in for Kirsty, who's one of our outreach managers. We like to have an involvement in this really important group because we like to know what's going on and also like to share what we've got going on at the library. Next week, as we're plugging what we're doing, we are celebrating Libraries Week, which is a national celebration of what libraries have to offer. And of course, most people think of libraries just as borrowing books. But next week, we're going to be showcasing the other things that you can learn in a library, because the theme is time to learn. So each day next week, we've got an activity going on that lasts an hour or 2. So including how to use a computer, how to set up an email account, how to look after houseplants, a swap of seeds and a buying of plants, having a cup of coffee, we've also got a session on blackout poetry. So my ears pricked up when I heard that you've got some poetry going on. So one of our staff members is doing that. We've got a session on how can you find out about your family history. So how can you use the free resources within the library for that? We've got Read Easy coming in to provide information about how people can learn to read. So if members of a family think that somebody would benefit from that, we've got a session going on. So again, on the library's events website, we've got all of our information, and our Facebook page is being spammed with all of our information for next week in particular. So it's a good learning opportunity for everybody, I think, to understand what goes on in the library.
Is spam the right word, Sophie? That sounds like you're spamming everybody all the time. It sounds like me and social
Just
media.
on our Facebook page. We're very busy on our Facebook page.
No, you are. You've got some fabulous things going on, and loads of things for children as well. Karen, you'd like to probably tell everybody what you're doing. I think you missed out on that one.
Well, apart from the disability group that we're doing every Friday morning now via Zoom.
Cool.
Anyone with any disabilities, welcome to come along. And also I've just been recently made the coordinator of the NN8 writers group, so creative writing group, and we're looking for new members. So anyone wants to join us, again, it's on Zoom because it suits me better. And we're going to do it Thursday evening once a fortnight, starting not next week, week after next.
That's really interesting, because I think myself and Thomas were talking about that the other day, that Tom wanted to connect with that group. So there you go. That's what this forum's all about. So there you go. I'll share, if you don't mind, I can share your details with Tom if you like, Karen.
Yeah, no, you're welcome to do that. And once I've got more details about our next meeting, because we're just starting up again because the old coordinator's gone. So we just decided to do it ourselves, sort of thing. And I've been made coordinator. So I could then advertise it on maybe one of your sites, Jonathan.
You can indeed. I was just about to share something with you, because I haven't told you who I am yet. That doesn't help, does it? Can you all see that?
Mm-hmm.
That's quite a lot going on. This is just Wellingborough Eco Group and a few
Small.
things that we do. This is our new calendar. You can see it in all different ways. So that's the month. I quite like this one because you can just whiz through and sort of have a look as it is. This is available from our website as a little box on the actual page itself. We currently have something on our website that is quite clunky and hard to update, whereas this is a lot simpler. So it might be that on the Wellingborough Organisation's website, we sort of ape this because it is so good. All people need to do when they see it is click on something and the details come up. So, for instance, as we speak, there are lots of children at the Eco Hub crafting, which is quite exciting. Next week, I've forgotten what she said they were going to do. No, they're playing board games next week, so there's different events going on every time. So if you just went to wellingboroughecogroup.org.uk, it's on there, or I can share where you can see basically what the link is up the top there. But loads of stuff going on. It's a really easy thing to do because I think don't really want to sort of edit things on as we go along, but that's as easy as it is to post. So I don't know if we're interested. I know we've all just said how this really helps share stuff, but sometimes it's hard to sort of have that all the time. Perhaps if we had this for all of the organisations in the town, that might be a good thing. What do you think?
Yeah, so
Have I steered you into silence? So there's quite a lot on there.
Where would you actually access it? Where would you actually access this then?
I hope you're following me here. There we go. So at the moment, we've got this, and we've got this page here. So, for instance, I haven't updated this for a couple of weeks, shock horror, but normally this will have like different events on here, detailed down there, but it's quite a clunky way of doing it. I've physically got to go in and republish them every time. It doesn't let me do recurring events. So, for instance, our food sharers event that we were talking about earlier with Sophie, I would have to go in, log in, and redo it every week, or post it sort of so many weeks in advance. Do you know what I mean? But that's what we've got at the moment, which is fine. I don't know what you prefer really, but I was proposing swapping this, if you like, for something like this, which you can then see in a way that you want to see it, and then you just click on whatever it is, or you'd hover over the top of whatever it is if you weren't actually sort of doing this, and it tells you what time things are on and roughly what it's about.
It looks like a good idea, but where would you find this? How would people know it was there and get to it? If you see what I mean.
You share it. Like I say, we have a website which is basically a website for this community resilience forum and other things that are happening in the town. So, for instance, this isn't what I update all the time. The last person, funnily enough, I think was Sophie, that submitted something to me to go on this, and they come up as news stories. So we changed what the library had because I think the pictures are all about out of date, weren't they, Sophie? And
Yes.
we wanted to have the new opening hours because, of course, the opening hours were from the pandemic. It's just a nice general information page about this. So this website, you can go onto all different sort of, where are you? You can go onto different links here and have a look at different sort of organisations and stuff on here. Let's have a look at business that might not. These community resilience things kind of do everything because I post these like twice a month. But the idea of this is that you go in and you can find out about what's going on the town. Now, if we had a simplified calendar, say on the front page, then people would be able to see it straight away.
Right. So, I mean, for example, if someone that's not us and that didn't know about it, just typed in to their search engine what's on in Wellingborough, would this come up?
Absolutely, yeah, because
Right.
if you actually Googled Wellingborough, I believe, and I'll prove myself wrong by doing it, of course. If you type in Wellingborough on there, it will be one of the things that comes up. Obviously,
Right.
it's so there's a few things there about Wellingborough, but it should be one of the first things that comes up when you type in Wellingborough. Or if you typed in, for instance, Wellingborough organisations, if you were looking for Wellingborough organisations, that's why it's called that name, basically.
Mm.
There you are, sort of thing. Anyway, I thought I'd show you that anyway. I thought that was
Thank
an
you.
interesting thing to show. Oh, Judy is still there. I thought you disappeared, Judy.
Mm.
So I don't know, like we can carry on with, like, the other calendar is potentially sort of more graphical. It will sort of have pictures on it, and it is a bit sort of, I know it's all clunky, but it's a lot more work to do. We do try new things all the time, and the other advantage with the other calendar is that other people could sort of add stuff to it if it had a sub calendar. Do you know what I mean?
I
Whereas,
think,
go on,
sorry,
Sophie.
I think from a perspective of signposting sort of roles that we have here in the library, that calendar would be really useful because we've got everything on one page. And, you know, we could favourite the Wellingborough organisation's website, and then it would make it quite easy for us to show people. It does look quite busy for your general user, perhaps, who isn't so certain about it.
Yeah.
And sort of the infographics are always really welcome, aren't they? But then you pay for that in terms of perhaps it being a bit more clunky, that you won't find one thing that suits everybody.
No, not at all. And I think that's basically it. Like, I don't know. I'll do one more share for you if I can find it.
And Jonathan, although, you know, the first, well, the one that you're using is perhaps, you know, got more pictures and so forth. If the one is so much easier for you to update and everything, then that's probably more important, really, isn't it? That, you know, if it's easier for you to do and it's done more often, then that's probably more useful.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I say, this all of these little twiddly marks here means that it automatically is on the next time that it comes up, and it's really easy to do. So I don't have to go into Eco Club for Kids that's happening now and update that every time, because it's generally the same information that goes on there. And it's really, really simple and easy to do. So, for instance, most of the events that happen at the library, just picking on you again, Sophie, they happen on the same day or date every week or every month. So you were talking about something happening on the first Monday of the month. That would just automatically appear every month. You wouldn't have to think about it. It would be there. Whereas, like I say, if you're relying on me or whoever would update the Wellingborough organisation's website and it's missing, then you're kind of potentially missing opportunities, aren't you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and like I say, you just hoover over it and it tells you about it anyway.
Yeah, I like it. It's good.
Yeah, it's also quite good as well if we were, you know, having it centralized. If somebody goes in and they get it sent out, like if all the schools send it out by parent mail, that saves everyone from either, you know, going in, wasting materials. Because one thing that's also quite good about this is obviously less, you know, paper wastage. If we can just get it all on one thing, send it out by email, you know, that could be a lot more sustainable.
Exactly. So I think we're pretty much agreed. Like, the organisation's website could be changed to a certain extent to rather being a newspaper based, right? It could be more like the Eco Group website that has all the stuff down the sides, but is basically telling you about local things and then has the calendar on it. What I was trying to explain earlier was that, for instance, if I click on food sharers here, this is the read-only version. So this is what Joe Blogs would see. And then you'll see that lovely big poster that we were talking about earlier, which you can really can you? But then it'll have a lot more information on there, plus links to go to places if you want to find out more about it. So I just think it's like, for what Sophie was talking about, signposting, that just seems a lot easier
Mm.
easier way through. Obviously, it would help if I could control my own mouse, but that would be basically what I'm talking about putting on that website for you.
It looks good.
Mm.
Let's see your lovely faces again. There you go. That's better. I think I've probably just shown you about what everything the eco group's doing. So there's loads of stuff there going on. I haven't really introduced myself. I am the secretary of Wellingborough Eco Group, the coordinator of this Wellingborough Organisations Loose Association, and I get paid a little bit for doing this because I'm also the member pioneer for the co-op. So it's quite funny. Yesterday at Redeemed Funds, I went down there to support them as the member pioneer. So I had this over an eco group t-shirt. So I was kind of like stripping as I was going along, sort of all these different layers of things that I was doing. So Mary found it quite funny, bless her. Would anybody else like to add anything? Because we are a happy five. Is there anything else you'd like to do? Like Thomas, sorry, I don't know if you're on the email list either. There is an email list, community@wellingborough.org, that you can subscribe to. I can add your email to it, or you can subscribe yourself. Of course you can. And basically you can post on that, and that shares with all the other community centres and people in the town that are sort of connected to that. There are currently 32 members on that, so it's quite a big list. And there's also a WhatsApp group as well. So Marion's on there, Karen. Would you like to be on there too? Or are you on there already?
I don't know if I am on there. I wouldn't mind be if I'm not, because Marion doesn't often pass stuff on to me. So I'm more likely to pass things on to her, but you know.
Marion's so busy, bless her. So yeah, she's away at the Green Party conference, isn't she?
Yeah.
Which is why we've not got the both of you today. So
Am I on there? I don't know, Jonathan, whether I'm on there or not. Am I?
are you getting emails that start with community and sort of block things? I know you're
I
on
don't
the
think so.
climate,
No.
I know you're on the climate one, but not the community one. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So
I'll
maybe I could
check-
be added to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll check for yourself and Karen and
Mhm.
Thomas. I don't think I've got your email, have I, Thomas?
I can send it over to you again on
Whack
Facebook
it
if
over
you
to
want.
me, then I can reply with Karen's details on that for you.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea to me.
Awesome. Has anybody else got anything to share with everybody?
I just, sorry.
Sorry.
No, go on.
I just wanted to share, Karen, particularly for your information, at the library in October, so as from tomorrow. Yes, we have the DWP coming in doing some advice sessions for disability employment advice.
Okay.
So that's happening on the 7th, 14th, 21st and 28th between 9 and 12:30. So just sort of sharing that for October. And then we have Great Well Homes who are doing drop-ins during October. So we've got a very full agenda for October in terms of support for local residents too. So if there's any other way we can be sharing what's going on, let us know really, or if you want to reach out and find out what's going on. Our Friendship and Tea Club is becoming really popular, and it's the first Monday of the month, so that's on Monday coming, and we've really seen an increase in attendance for that since it started. So that
What time is that on?
So that is 2 till 4. And we often have partner organisations coming in to give advice or signposting for a variety of needs really. So we've had Mind come along, we've had Supporting Independence, just 2 as an example, but it seems to be really well attended.
Is that a good time for that? Because we've tried our Happy Cafe, called it a coffee morning, called it a couple of other things, and it hasn't really drawn people in, but then we haven't really publicised it that much. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so 2 till 4 seems to be just the right time, and sometimes some of the people attending bring in a cake themselves, or we'll have biscuits we can give, and I think that's always you call it a cafe. That's always a draw, isn't it?
Yeah, no,
People
definitely.
enjoy that, yes. But we've got a couple of members who like to do baking, so I think it also helps with helping people feel fulfilled and have that sense of I'm making this for other people. Yeah, I mean, if any other organization felt that, oh, we've got something to give to that group in terms of publicizing what it is you do, then it might be a good idea to get in touch with us so that we can schedule it in, ask the group if they would like somebody to come and speak or visit. I think that's another way of being able to sort of network, isn't it, for people too.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Okay, you've all gone quiet. I thought you were trying to talk as well. Oh, sorry, Matt. Karen's waving
Yeah.
at.
Oh.
Well, go on. Go for it, Judy. Then Karen, I think.
I was just going to say that one thing we didn't mention about the food sharers on a Tuesday afternoon, we also do the swap shop where people can sort of bring along and donate it and take away other things that other people brought. There's usually lots of clothes that people like to look through, and sort of household items, toys. There's usually a few kids that come and like sort of spending a bit of time there rummaging through toys. And if they don't want to bring them to swap, they can just give us a small donation for whatever they take. And we do teas and coffees then as well, if people want to come, just sort of to look around and have a chat, really, and have a cup of tea.
We do teas and coffees every day, don't we? It's all good. Karen.
Yep.
I just noticed while we're here is that on Sunday the Wellingborough Quaker meeting is having an open day. So if anyone wants to know about Quakers or look around the building because they're fascinated about it, that's your opportunity between 2 and 4.
That's on St John Street, and it is a lovely building.
Yeah. And Jonathan, did Marion get in touch about having the boards back?
What boards are they?
Apparently you've got our boards, that you put.
Oh, yeah. No, she didn't, but I can drop them off to you, or you can come and get them. They're at the Eco Hub at the moment. So when do you want them?
Well, I need it before Sunday because I've got to do a display.
You're so demanding. I'll drop them off to you at some point. Okay, I'm going up there later. I can put them in the back of the car.
That'd be great because I say I need to do the display for Sunday. So. Okay.
So I am at your service. Were you sticking your hand up there, Tom?
Well, yeah, because I was wondering, because I think you might be the people to ask. It's a bit on a different topic, but on the eco perspective, have there been campaigns about cycling in our local area? And because it would be an interesting thing for us to bring up, because one of the things we've noticed for a lot of our participants we're trying to reach is that a lot of them can't drive, can't afford petrol. And I was wondering whether discussions have been on that. I mean, I know from a personal capacity, I live in Rushden and would love an ability to cycle to Wellingborough that doesn't involve going on, the dual carriageway that I think is particularly dangerous. But in kind of like, there are lots of reasons to talk about cycling. Just wondering if that's something that's come up.
Do you want me to answer
Well, it's
that?
something that we do sort of talk. I was just going to say that it's something that we do about, isn't it? Sustainable transport, but just on a sort of related thing, critical mass. Do you know critical mass? Who do cycle rides around Wellingborough have got their cycle ride tonight, I think, and they sort of go around the town to kind of try and sort of raise the profile of cycling, I suppose. And they have a slow ride around Wellingborough, and lots of people just turn up and sort of, ring their bells all the way around and just have a jolly time, really, have music so people can, see what's going on. Yeah, as far as I know, there's one tonight because it's the last Friday of the month. But Jonathan might have a better answer question.
That's really useful to know. Thank you.
critical mass. I don't know if that's on tonight at all, but I'll have a look in a sec. But there's also a group called Wellingborough Active Travel, which are an offshoot of Critical Mass. Critical Mass are the group that cycle round and basically make a point that cyclists want to use the road. And then there was a campaign group set up by a chap that's unfortunately moved to Nottingham, but by the by, he does have somebody else running that group. And they've done lots of work with the council trying to sort of lobby for a connected cycle network across the town, because actually Wellingborough does have some good cycle facilities. The issue is that they stop in daft places and then you're faced with a really busy road. So, but again, that's something that we've done through the Wellingborough Climate Action Project. We've tried to sort of look at transport and ways to improve that. But I know you're on Facebook, Thomas. Perhaps if you have a look for Wellingborough Active Traveller, I'll share the link with you. That's a good place to start and connect. And obviously, as part of the eco group, we're very keen to sort of support that and sort of make that happen, if you like.
Yeah, 'cause, I'm thinking about linking that in. So recently, Made with Many, who I've worked with a bit over the years, they've got funding to train kids to look at social action campaigns. And so one way of pitching that is about environmentally friendly local action campaigns. And it's good that, they don't kind of just start doing something without having a context of what the history of, activism in the area is. So it's definitely something I'll flag up to them, because I think it is important, if we are going to get them doing social action campaigns. Obviously, kids really care about the environment these days, and how we can help facilitate them do that.
Just put a link onto their Facebook group, Tom, if you wanted to click on it. I don't know what device you're using, but yes, it's not got millions of members. It's only got 49 members on it, and it's not particularly active, that group. In fact, actually, let's have a look at Critical Mass. That might be a better one for you. The problem is, like I say, is that because Sam Shoesmith, who's the chap that was driving this, and the active travel, well, Critical Mass and active travel, another chap's decided to take it over. In fact, a couple, I think. And I'm just looking at that group again. That's not particularly active, but I'll share the link for that as well for you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's something I can flag up in the next meeting and with the Unite community as a potential campaign that we can look into, because it's useful to know, if there is groundwork there being done and how we can support people who are interested in campaigning. It's a lot of effort to campaign, and especially when you're on your own. If we can link people up where appropriate, that can really, give people a bit more energy.
You'll never be on your own, mate, because we've got the eco group. That's basically, we're trying to do things and support people that are really keen to do certain things. Because not everybody wants to go litter picking, not everybody wants to swap things or deal with food. Do you know what I mean? So we try and support everybody. But also, the point of this community resilience forum and Wellingborough organisations as a thing is just to try and support the smaller groups, the bigger groups, and try and get everybody to work with each other. And dare I say, advertise the co-op again. That's my role in the community, working for the co-op, like we said the other day.
Brilliant.
Okay. Karen, you look like you want to say something. Oh, you just had that face on. So the only other thing, I did talk to Sophie before we all got on, is that potentially this meeting might work better if it was 1 till 2:30 rather than 2 till 3:30. Now, it might work better for me because, like I say, I've forgotten about my little person and picking him up from school today. But obviously, there are a few other people in that same boat. So schools tend to kick out around 3, 3:15, don't they? Has anybody got any objections or would feel it's complete? Oh, is that the Star Wars sign, or is it? Where are you?
No, I can't do a
I you finish at 2, don't you?
One and between 1 and 2. So
go on, you've got to tell us what you do now, because we're all want to know.
On a Friday between 1 and 2, I'm learning the harmonica with singing for no harmonica for breathing. I also on Thursday between 1 and 2, I do singing for breathing to help breathing, and then I do harmonica on a Friday for an hour to help breathing. But I'm also learning to play the harmonica as part of that. So yeah, so that was.
So how are you getting on? Can you play the harmonica?
I can play a few tunes.
Oh, great.
We're going to ask for a demonstration now, aren't we? Just don't get Karen talking about clocks. So you'd prefer it to stay 2 till 3:30. That's fine.
I mean, that's just me. I mean, maybe if you pick a different day, but on a Friday, that's where I'm at. So.
Okay. No, I don't think we need to change Fridays. I think there's enough going on. One more thing from me, and this isn't something that I've talked to Judy about, so she's going to be sort of going, what? We have a sister group called Wellingborough Forum, which is more about people sharing with people rather than, if you like, community organisations and groups sharing with each other, like the Community Resilience Forum is. I was thinking, and I've had a couple of requests from people about having a Wellingborough Forum sort of live, if you like, every month. So probably in the evenings rather than during the day, because most people are either busy with their kids or work or whatever during the day. Could be at the Eco Hub, Judy, which is why I pointed your name out there, because I don't know, do people think that a group of people from across the society discussing the issue of the day would be something that people would get involved with and would be worth doing?
I think it's a brilliant idea, if we can draw enough people in, but it's just, just finding the people really that want to do it.
I've stunned you two into silence, but I wasn't thinking about it being more than 2 hours because I think people would go mad. If it was, for instance, from 7 till 9 or 6:30 till 8:30 sort of time, depending on what people think. We do have a kettle, which is always a bonus because, like I say, people don't like to sort of talk unwatered.
Were you thinking of, when you say talk about the topics of the day, I mean, were you thinking we'd discuss one topic each time, or were you just thinking people come along and have a chat?
I was almost thinking of having it like almost like a question time thing, where it could be that people think, okay, today's big issue is the mini budget crisis, chaos or whatever it is. But it could be something local, like, for instance, they're digging up my road. Why they're always digging up my road? It could be about the cycle path, for instance, that Thomas was talking about earlier. We could have a talk about ways of getting around the town. What should be doing? Like, it's quite often issues with public transport, isn't there? Because things keep on getting cut. So it could be a variety of subjects. But I think it would probably work best if we said, okay, tonight we're talking about what's in the news this week, what's affecting local people most this week. Do you have an opinion on the buses being cut or whatever? Do you know what I mean? Or it could just, like you say, Judy, be a current affairs. Everybody gets the chance to sort of ask a question to everybody else. I'm not sure we need a panel like question time. I think it just needs to be like a fairly flat floored sort of thing. And I don't think we need another thing on Zoom.
I mean, it's quite similar to green drinks, really, isn't it? Where people sort of come along and discuss whatever they want to. I mean, I know that's at a pub, but sounds like quite a similar sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, I don't. For you, Thomas, we have a monthly meeting called Green Drinks in a pub, and basically it's an opportunity for some of us that don't often get to a pub anymore to go out and have a drink or two and just talk to people. And I think this forum thing could be a similar idea, Um, but possibly not in a pub because not everybody wants to go to a pub. I'm not saying that Karen doesn't want to go to a pub, but for instance, some people might not feel very comfortable in a pub. Whereas if it was in a community space, then that might be more accessible to people who are driving or who can't get in and out of a pub, for instance, or who don't want to go into a pub for their own personal views.
Yeah, I mean, I can see from the kind of the Unite community hat a lot of interest from their perspective, especially if we're talking about local issues that are affecting people and have that element of signposting people and also potentially campaigning or something, because when I was in York, we didn't know, we held some a bit similar things, and then we found out that there was a ban on blue badges. So we created a campaign on that. I mean, it's still ongoing. The council are merciless in York, and we're really trying to push to get the blue badges back. It's disgusting. But either way, I'm not going to go on about that. I could talk a long time. But something like that is quite important, especially for disabled people, for people from all different perspectives, And if you can make it where you get people from that areas like Queensway, areas like the Hemmingwell as well, so they all get their voice out. I can see a lot of interest in there because making it so it is very much Wellingborough focused. There could be a lot of interest, especially because in our area we've got a lot going on in Northampton. Wellingborough is quite a big town, really, for all it is. Something like this, I think, is lacking in Wellingborough. If we can get the people advertising this at St. Mark's Church, I know Father Ben would probably love to come along to a thing like this. So I think because it's a bit similar to, because he does his kind of coffee mornings as well. But I think if this is more kind of everyone in Wellingborough, or maybe there's like a spin to it that's different, and that maybe it's a link to the campaign, or maybe it's a link to the social action. The one thing for me is I think there might need to be like a, is it about what's going on at number 10, or is it about what's going on in Wellingborough? And there might need to be a decision made. Obviously I don't mind either way, but I think you might need to work out what specifically the pitch is.
Yeah, I suppose because it would be called Wellingborough Forum, for instance, it would probably be on Wellingborough. And I think that might engage with more people because you can turn your telly on and listen to what the government's stuffing up this week. Do you know what I mean? So a lot of people don't actually know what's going on in Wellingborough, do they? Let's face it. And as you say, it's a big town with not a lot going on. So, yeah. And it doesn't have to be, I'm suggesting the Eco Hub because we've got it, Judy. It could be in the Eco Hub first and then perhaps the Victoria Centre, Hemmingwell Centre. It can move around to try and get other communities involved. So
yeah, I think we need to find a way though, to a way of advertising it that is going to draw in different people, because it is all a bit, sort of the same people coming to all the different events at the moment, isn't it? And although that's great that it means we can sort of network and know what each other are doing. The whole point of it really is to expand, isn't it, and to sort of engage more people. So it's just finding a way of doing that, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely trying to get sort of people involved, trying to get other, like I say, I don't like leaflets coming through my door, but sometimes that's the only way to get the message across.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, but there we go.
Yeah, I mean, it is useful as well having discussions on methods that work for getting new people, because I know definitely working with people in, like WACA and like people who know people in that area. But again, you are right. There is, I mean, it's always good to be thinking, how do we move beyond the pre-established groups and make sure that we're getting out to the people in the area? Because one thing, because we deal with young people, we get to talk to people in schools, which gives us an into the parents, which can be quite good. Because especially like, where schools often know like key areas that are really worth getting into. So I think it's good to have a go and really see who turns up and see what works. But I think as a general kind of thing, it can be quite nice to just see how it evolves, see who turns up, because I can definitely talk around my networks, and if it initially starts off being focused on people who are already doing things, and then they get in people they know, it can be a really nice way of letting people network, and also maybe even more importantly, hearing from people that don't normally get heard.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to sort of get to. Really is that it's great. This works, and some months we have 5 of us, like we had today. Some months we have 10, like I think 10, 12. I think it's about the maximum we've ever had. But then you think about the amount of community organisations in Wellingborough. There's not that many more, sort of, really, anyway, is there? So, but yeah, if you were able to get 10 Joe Bloggses, 20 Joe Bloggses in a room, 10 will probably fill the eco hub, and just that sort of discussion. I'm not saying that, like, I think the church thing is almost like the pub thing, isn't it? That some people wouldn't necessarily feel that comfortable going to a church, which is nonsense. But do you know what I mean? That you've got to kind of be aware that people have different views, I suppose.
Well, also, people from different faiths as well, to be fair, which, from, I say, I really like St. Mark's. I help out there all the time, but it is important to engage with the Hindu community. And there is also, because at Victoria Centre, we're really in with the Romanian community. So, and from what our understanding is, Romanians don't tend to go to things like that. So it is useful, especially what we can do at Victoria Centre, is flag up there, because there are a lot of issues specific to the Romanian community that I think is quite good to get everyone aware of. Similar with disabled communities, similar with different ethnicities. So if it is that kind of focus on bringing people from different walks of life together in Wellingborough, that could be quite a nice way of it being different than just being specific to a religious thing or specific something else.
Absolutely right. Yeah, and I know, like, you're talking about Bogdan and all the stuff that he does at the Victoria Centre. Karen, you got your hand up, I think.
Years ago, there used to be a community forum in Wellingborough, and I used to go, and it used to be very good because it was organisations as well as people. Anyone could go, and you found out an awful lot about what was going on in town and who was connected to what. And it was held once a month. It was held on an afternoon. I can't remember. I think it was a Friday afternoon. But anyway, lunchtime. It wasn't an afternoon. It was a lunchtime. So people who were working could come at lunchtime. That's what it was. And it was to get about 40 people or more. It would be really quite a lot of people. And they would have a guest speaker most months from one of the community organisations, or an individual who's been doing something and would like to speak about what they've been doing. And then after that, people could ask them questions if they wanted to. But apart from that, everyone was networking with each other. So, people were talking to each other and had a cup of tea and biscuit and whatever. And it did work well. But I'd say
Good idea.
that finished, I don't know, a long time ago now, but it was.
Yeah, no, it was a long time before we started doing the pandemic and all the rest of it and all this.
Oh yeah.
This is nearly 2 years old, isn't it now, crikey? But there we go.
So Karen, can I just ask about that? Was it something, did people that were working tend to sort of pop in in their lunch hour?
Yes, they did. Yeah, most people were working.
Oh, right. And so did they sort of provide lunch for, if people wanted it?
No, people brought the sandwiches because
they brought their own.
they were at work,
okay.
but they got a free cup of tea and maybe a biscuit.
Yeah.
But
because in a way that sounds that's quite. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, but generally people brought they were going to have lunch at work. They had there and sort of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of seems to me like quite a good way to draw some different people in who are like working people, and at the same time, if it's just an hour long, or even an hour and a half long, it's kind of at a time when they're doing something else, i.e. having their lunch, so it's not sort of taking up too much extra of their time. That it sounds to me quite a good idea.
Yeah, it was. I think it was only for an hour, really.
Yeah.
Someone might speak for 20 minutes, and then after that it was open.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
people didn't rush off and might have chatted a bit more if they haven't got to get back to work or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
I think that sounds like a good idea to do it at lunchtime.
Yeah, one question I would have is, how would the group react to political parties being there campaigning? Because with that, it'll be interesting, Karen, here. Is that something they had a policy on? Just as a potential snag in the road.
I don't know, because at the time, one time, I mean, there was a Labour MP in Wellingborough, and he used to attend it all the time, but often he would be there, to take on issues of people, and he also talked about his work and being an MP and what was happening in Parliament and things like that. It was very interesting. And before that, I think it must have been Conservative, and I don't think he turned up much, but he was welcome to. So I don't think there was necessary saying no political things, but whether you can campaign, I don't know. I think it depends on the group, and I don't know.
It's a really tough one, isn't it? Because you could argue that, is it a political arena? I don't know. We had something called Community Voices, which was a bit political, but everything is political, isn't it? Because if you have councillors turning up, like you do at St Mark's Church on a Monday, then potentially that's political, isn't it? Because you're favouring the Conservative councillors or Labour councillors that are there, aren't you?
But I must admit, they did have councillors from all persuasions that would turn up, because it was the place to go to find out the information. Community group councillors came. I mean, not all the time, but often they'd pop in. And then general public. It was open to anyone. It was just called a community forum, but it was open. And I say, it used to get really busy. I mean, I can't tell you. It used to be held at Salem Hall, not the most accessible place, but anyway, but that's where it was held, and it used to be packed out. I
can't.
So as long as any. So as long as anyone from any political party was welcome to come along, then it doesn't seem to be a problem, does it? Like, as long as you're not sort of favouring anyone particularly.
Yeah, so long as no one gets into an argument as well. But I think that'll be on how the tone's set up, and it probably won't be an issue. But it's just sometimes you do never know. I think it is the difficulty on, you might get somebody who's a bit difficult. We might just have to, just keep it civil, but I'm not sure. It's probably unlikely to be a problem.
I think the way of doing it is, I'm not on mute, am I? No, good. The way of doing it is to say we're not politically biased. Do you know what I mean? You can come with political views. I'm not sure about this lunchtime thing, Karen, because I think things have changed since probably that was on.
I'm not saying to do it at lunchtime. I'm just saying
I like the idea of something working at lunchtime. We're trying to do the Happy Cafe at lunchtime, and well, we had a nice time yesterday, didn't we, Judy? But
yeah. But that is a bit out. That is more out of the way, isn't it? I mean, that's if it was some town centre, then that would be a bit different, wouldn't it?
Potentially, but again, like I say, how many people actually work in the town centre that aren't working in shops? Do you know what I mean? And do people in shops still get the hours lunch break that they used to get? Do you know what I mean? Like
maybe not. Maybe not.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? That a lot of people now work from home. My wife, who you may have seen with the sun flying around and all the rest of it, tends to only have half-hour break. Do you know what I mean? So she can finish half-hour early. A lot of people are doing that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You have to take an hour's break, and probably people even 10 years ago were happy to actually have something to do for that hour. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
I don't know. That's why I was thinking evening, but I am like Karen, you've got some really good, interesting ideas there. So that could be something we could sort of forget about Marion for a little bit and perhaps do that together. Do you know what I mean? Because Marion's got a million things to do anyway. I think she needs something else to do, like hole in the head, bless her. I'm not saying or everybody could work on that. That's the point of like having a forum, is that it's there for everybody, and it would be an offshoot of this forum, but more inclusive, because this one has just sort of turned out to be people that are representing organisations. Does that make any sense?
Mhm.
You've all
Yeah,
got
as I said, it makes a lot of sense to me, and I can bring it up because we might be able to get a bit of funding to help advertise with Unite Community. So if you leave that with me, we can ask around, because I've pitched this sort of thing before. Obviously, big union, big bureaucracy. So I can't promise anything anytime soon. I jokingly say this year, but hopefully it'll be sooner than that. But I think it's worth asking around. And again, they're setting up a TUC in Corby and potentially one in Northampton. So if we can involve them and they can involve their members as well, it's quite good if they can send it out to their members, so we get those kind of average working people rather than people they've already got their organization.
Yeah, no, I think
But
that
Tom, sorry, what was what was Tom's organisation that he represents?
Unite Community, so it's for Unite the Union,
You-
but community is a special branch
Okay,
of it for unwaged workers. So it's for people on benefit
right.
or studying.
Oh, okay. Right, I see. Yeah, okay.
So we've
Thank
got a
you.
lot of people who are on universal credit who is quite good. We involve them and some of them are quite active. And so, obviously there are a lot of horror stories, but lots of things that people, really do need to learn about, the realities of how they're treated.
yeah, I like your
Mhm.
view, what you said earlier about giving people in the community a voice that don't have a voice at the moment. I think that's a really important aspect of it, is have your voice heard, if you like. And I think actually, through some of the stuff that we've done before, not as well in Brico Group as, like I say, we had something called Community Voices that was quite popular to start off with. So that was an evening thing. If we could ape that again, but have it more inclusive with people, I think that could be a real winner. Ah, she's back. But yeah, perhaps have a think on that and like either come back to me on it or talk to Judy or whomever. If you can get to the Eco Hub on a Tuesday, like I know me and Judy are there anyway, so come back with that. Is it something that we want to do this month coming up, i.e. October, or is it something we want to do in November when we've had a chance to think about it? What do you think? You've all gone quiet again.
I would say maybe the best thing to do initially is just ask around, put out some feelers generally. Could even do like a register of interest form and see what the response is before
Yeah,
making a decision. Because I think it's good to just get the feelers out, and maybe also that will give us an idea of an ideal day as well. Because I think if we all go and ask around our networks, we might all hear some different things and then kind of work out, what's best for people if we're having some responses, and then, maybe aim for December first one so that we've got that extra time to ask and especially reach out to those communities that we don't normally engage with.
sounds sensible to me.
Yep.
Yep, cool. Karen's being very quiet, but she might just be on mute.
I was on mute and then my battery was about to die, so I had to quickly find the lead. So,
That's all right. We've only got about 3 minutes to go, so that's all good.
yeah, no, I think it's finding out if people are interested. I mean, I have a problem because I don't have transport myself, and so that's why I do a lot by Zoom. So, you know.
Well, that's the other thing that we're looking at the Eco Hub, and I keep on going on about it, is potentially having a meeting space that also has the option to sort of have it on Zoom at the same time. We tried it with my tablet and Repair Cafe live on Monday, and Julie was like, "Oh, can I get it closer?" And then I think by the end, Simon, who was doing the repairing, actually had this thing right in his face, bless him. But somehow of having like the room on Zoom and the people on Zoom on the screen, if you like, for the room, if we could try and work out how to do that and have like a live, like hybrid event, I think that's the way to say it.
Blended or whatever they call it, isn't it? You know, some live and some.
Yeah, I think you're a bit more modern than me, but yeah. So I think that'd be a really good way of doing it. It's just trying to work out how to do it. Do you know what I mean? And what facilities you'd need to do that, whether it's just a projector and a screen with everybody on there and a camera at the front. I don't know.
No.
Okay, and I wonder if there's also worth having discussions about carpooling and questions about that around. I don't know, that could be an interesting thing, because I know personally, I can't drive either at the moment. Just for anyone to know, I know it looks confusing what's going on. I nearly chopped off my finger, wasn't paying attention. So
Like you do.
yeah, it's a bit of a silly thing to do. So I can't currently drive, so I've been having to do it as well. So
Okay. No, that's cool. That's cool.
That is a good point, isn't it? To talk about carpooling, lift sharing, that sort of thing. I mean, that's another part of the well, not active transport, but cutting down on transport.
Yeah, so maybe that'll be something that emerges as we discuss things, a way of looking at it. But I think it's nice to think about where we can. But yeah.
That sounds good. Sounds good. Right, we are coming to an end. Has anybody got anything inspiring they want to tell us? Looking at the faces around, Karen looks like the most inspiring person. Tell us one fun fact about clocks.
One fun fact. There's so many different clocks. Oh, shall I show you my latest one?
This is what I was hoping for. There we go.
This was broken, and I can fix it so far, but I can't do too much because I don't know electrics. But
oh, is it a cuckoo clock?
Well,
it's still a little train goes around here.
Oh, oh yeah.
That's
and
amazing.
a little man pops out here, and
Wow.
but the thing is, it's supposed to do that every hour, but it doesn't. It keeps the time, but it doesn't work properly. But I don't know about wiring.
Well, you know, there's a repair cafe next.
I know.
Yeah.
Book it in, see if somebody can look at
Book it in.
it. Well, I think on that note, I couldn't end it any better myself, really. That was perfect. Thank you, Karen. Thank you all for coming. This has been recorded. So as long as there's no objections, I will share this so that the people that unfortunately couldn't be with us today can sharing what we've been up to. But thank you all, and I look forward to both seeing and working with you soon.
That's great. Brilliant.
Thank
Have a
you.
lovely weekend.
Thank
Have
you.
a lovely weekend. Thank you.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Okay.